Sorry. I just got these and I'm having way too much fun with those. Anyways, so you guys know what my channel is about by now. At least I'm guessing. If you don't, my name is Jessica. I have multiple sclerosis. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how I found out I had MS and what that entailed, what my symptoms were like, and how MS can present in an individual. So when I was 7 years old, I got really lightheaded during a Little League game. And, you know, if you know anything about baseball, it usually goes on during the summer. So I was probably overheated. And I kind of toppled over and I was seeing like swimmy stuff. And, you know, I didn't know this at the time because I was only like 7 years old, but I felt drunk. Not a good feeling when you're 7 years old, or ever really. I don't drink. I have drank. I never liked it. I don't know if it's because of the holes in the brain and it just, but either way, all that aside. So yeah, my parents took me to the hospital and they were like, hey, she's woozy. She's saying that, you know, she's seeing swimmy things and she feels unbalanced. And they were like, well, you know, it's probably occipital migraines. So migraines of the eyes. And they were like, so she's seeing like stuff, and that stuff is actually technically called aura. I now know 20, 30 years later, I'm 37. Anyways, for all those of you that are close to my age, I know you felt that. Anyways, so what I was experiencing was aura, and, you know, I was seeing flashing lights, zigzags, and, you know, literal, like, what looked like literal water to me. I don't want to overuse the word literal, but I am a millennial, I'm so sorry. But it looked like water, and I tried to explain this to the physician. They seemed unbothered, and they were like, you know, she just has, you know, ocular, occipital, whatever, migraines. Sent me home. I noticed that I had most trouble when I was laying on my back. I've explained this to the MS specialty clinic that I see, and they find this all very, very interesting, and that's another reason why I'm sharing it with YouTube and all of you, is because this is science. So when I was laying on my back throughout my entire life, about once a month, maybe more, maybe less, this would happen to me. I'd be laying back on my back, you know, and all of a sudden I'd be like, you know, I would look really creepy like that. But anyways, excuse me. And so I would feel like that, though. It was awful. And I would, you know, jump back up and be like, I can't sleep, you know, I'm all dizzy and stuff. Even as a little kid, all the way up into adulthood, to the point where I was looking up inner ear conditions and whether or not I had something going on with, you know, my inner ear, you know, because I knew that your ears have a lot to do with orientation. So I started looking up inner ear, you know, conditions and things like that. But what I didn't think about was the cerebellum, which is in the very back of the brain. And it is the brain's brain. It's a tiny, tiny little thing that looks like a mini brain right in the back, in the soft spot of your head. You know, right at the base of your head, at the top of your neck. That's why they say if you whack someone right there, they will go out. Because that is what controls so much stuff. It tells your brain where you are in space-time. It tells your brain what to do, what things feel like. Everything. It is like your brain's power supply. Next to the pons, the very top of your spinal cord, which is what causes atriolateral sclerosis, which is ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, the disease that Stephen Hawking had, is very similar to MS. It's just that they get scars and sores on their pons, the very top of their spinal cord, which controls involuntary movement, like breathing, your heart beating, walking, things like that. So they're very similar, very, very similar cousins. So atriolateral sclerosis is ALS. I don't have that. And then there's multiple sclerosis, which in Latin means many scars. So, that was a lot just to get to this point. But at the same time, it took me 30 years almost to figure out what was wrong with me. And then a full 3 years of denial to accept it.